Hey guys, in this episode I'm going to show you how to retouch eyes in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Kelvin Designs. My name is Kelvin and I design, and that's why it's called Kelvin Designs. Click right here to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get all these episodes as they come out. And click right here to subscribe to my newsletter and get all the goodies, all the free RAW files that go with every tutorial for free. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to retouch eyes in Photoshop. Here's the before, and here's the after. It's really simple but pretty powerful. So let me show you. All right, so we're going to retouch eyes, and to get the source files to follow along this tutorial, go to my website, kelvindesigns.com, and click on the free lessons right here. You got to create an account for free and sign in, and the episode will show up here. Just click on that, and let's just pretend this is the episode. Click on the download source files, and you will get a zip file containing this folder and with this DNG file. So once you've downloaded that, why don't you open that with Photoshop, and it's actually going to open it up in Camera Raw because it's a RAW file. All right, so if here you see Save Object or something else other than Open Object, click right here on this link on the bottom and just check Open in Photoshop as Smart Objects. All right. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to do is just open up these shadows over here. Just trying to do basic correction just so that we have something nice to work with. And I think the white balance is okay. I don't want to go too crazy with the general. I just wanted to give some more detail in here. We could give a little bit more exposure, something like that. Okay, now we can go in and do a lot more retouching, and actually let's just give it a little bit of work. So take the brush tool over here, the adjustment brush, and let's make this a little bit bigger, something like that. The feather is pretty strong as well, and let's do, if you go down here, let's just double click on these to reset all these adjustments. All right, and what we're going to do here is just open up the exposure. We can adjust this after, but for now, just do that. Okay, and hold on the Alt key, which becomes the negative brush, so that we take it out. I don't want to overexpose our skin tones. Anyway, just a quick correction, just to get a little bit more of this background to be nice and white. All right, the whites, I'm going to open that up a little bit. Open up the exposure. Okay, and then pretty simply, I'm just going to make a radial filter here, which is much too high. Bring all this down. Okay, and here we're going to open up the shadows again, and maybe a touch on the exposure, and a little bit of sharpness, okay? I just want to get a little bit more detail here in her face, and now we're going to do a new one. And right here on her eyes, something like this. Okay, and once again, shadows. I actually want my highlights to kind of get whiter, all right? We're going to reduce this because I just want it for the white of her eyes. In fact, let's go ahead and zoom in to, say, 50%. Okay, hold on the space bar to get the hand. All right, and now we can reduce this, and on the outside, just rotate it a little bit. Something like this. All right. Okay. I just want it for the inside of the eye here. So we want a little more clarity in the eye, and sharpness, and clarity, and maybe not too much contrast. Open up the shadows a little bit. Open up the highlights, and that's pretty good. Let's just see. All right. And then here you can right-click it and duplicate it, and just drag that over to the other eye. So that's decent. There you go. Okay, on this radial filter that covers our whole face, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go to 25%. On this one, I do want to add a little more sharpness and just a touch of clarity. You don't want to do too much clarity on a woman's skin, but this is okay. Just a little bit, just get that a little more sharpness. So like that, and that's pretty good. Okay, so now you can open object. And Wait for that to open. Okay, so here it is. Let's just make this a little bigger. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, like so. Okay. And what we want to do is, the reflection here is a little complicated. It seems like there's 3 different sources of light. And to retouch eyes, I recommend doing a single source of light. And let me show you how you do that. The first thing I suggest you do is get rid of all reflections, okay? So let's take the marquee tool here, and let's try, what we're going to do is try to cover up this entire reflection. So let's just take a chunk of this side that this has no reflections, and new layer via copy, Command J. And with the move tool, you can move it around. And now we're going to do a Command T to transform. And we're just going to rotate that, okay? And try to bring it something like this. You can use the arrow keys to kind of adjust, fine-tune, adjust that. So something like this, maybe a little bit more. Okay, something like this, and that's pretty clean. Okay. And okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key and the mask button down here, and that creates a black mask on this layer. What that means is that the whole layer is hidden. So now when we go to the brush tool, we're going to have a white in the foreground, because white to reveal, and that's Control Alt to adjust your brush, by the way. Yeah, up and down is the hardness, left and right is the size. So we're going to do something about this, like this, and we're going to go and reveal this area right here. I really want to just get that area. Don't like that last pixel, so hit X to invert the colors and click right there. That's decent. Now, that area is pretty simple. We're going to create a new layer here, and go to the clone stamp tool. Make sure that the sample all layers is checked over here. And now when I go and sample from here and paint over it, it'll actually take all the layers, okay? And just click, and so option click and click until you can get a decent sample. Try not to get too much of artifacts. Just try to get it as flat as possible. There's some grain in there, which is why we're not just using a brush. All right, and then let's get in here and try to see if we can get away with just using the clone stamp tool here for this side. Maybe get like so. That's pretty good. Okay, so now this definitely looks fake because it's completely flat. I'll do that. Okay, so the next step is to recreate a proper reflection. So create a new layer. Use the polygon lasso, so that's down here, polygon lasso tool, and just create a triangle. So like this, and like so. All right, something like that. Actually, I'm going to redo that. Click, hold on to Shift to make it straight, and then it's easier to start with the bottom. Something like that, so you can do kind of in the middle. You want a somewhat proper triangle, all right? And then in this new layer, we should probably name our layers. So this is the left reflection, this is the dark, so let's call this eye left, and eye left pupil. Okay, and this will be reflection. Okay, it's always a good habit to name your layers. So click on the gradient, make sure you have foreground to transparent. That's usually by default the second one up here. So click that and go so it's white to transparent. And now when you click and drag from here to the edge, before the edge, you get this this white to transparent gradient in this triangle. So you can Command D to deselect or select deselect. All right, and what we're going to do here is right-click to convert this to a smart object, like so. Okay, and now Command T, and I can rotate this. So before you actually decide where this reflection is going to be, look at where the light source is. It's very easy to see that it's on the left side here. You see this light over here. There's more shadows on the right side, on her left side, on our right side of the face. So we're going to respect that and put the reflection on her right side. So all right, so let's do something like this. and make it kind of small. Try to make it pretty small and try to get the center almost. I go a little past the center of the pupil, something like this. Okay, and then I'm going to create a mask and B for brush. And let's see what kind of layer. Okay, I wanted something a little harder than this, something like this. There's another way of adjusting your brush, by the way, is right-clicking. Where you can, if you want to see what it looks like, you hold on Control and Alt, and that kind of gives you a good idea. All right, so I'm going to basically mask out the center of this like that, so I get a bit of that roundness. All right, I don't want it too soft, and that should work fine. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I want to blur this my smart object. Well, undo that. I'm actually going to click here on the smart object, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And let's go with 2, something light. Okay. Now you don't want it too sharp because then it's fake, and you don't want it too blurry. So something like this. Let's make this a little bit smaller, something like this. When you, by the way, when you do a Control T or Command T, which is a free transform on a smart object, all your smart filters are disabled for the time of your transform. So don't worry if your blur disappears. That's just part of the process. All right, and then we're going to change the opacity. Let's make this, let's do 80% to start. And then we're going to make a duplicate of this. Okay, and we're going to make this 50%, like so. Hit return. And I'm going to double click on this Gaussian blur, make it 5 pixels, and we're going to make it bigger. All right. So Command T, same time. Okay, like this. Let's see what that looks like. All right. So I have one that's in. So I want the smaller one, the inside one, to be a little bit smaller. Okay. A little bit smaller, something like this. There you go. So I'm pretty happy with that. And let's zoom out to see what we're. So that's pretty good. It really just gives you a single source. We can make. Let me see. This is the small one. The big one could maybe be a little bit more visible. Let's try 60%. I like that. The nice thing about a smart object, so if I hit Command T, I get both, right? But if I unlink it right here and hit Command T, I'm back to the original transform, which I really like. So let's try to just make this a little bit narrower, something like so. There you go. All right, that's actually nicer. Okay. All right, so now let's just take all of this, and so I click on the first one, shift click the last one, and Command G to group. All right, and that creates here. You can go in here and group layers. Command G. All right, so let's call this right eye. All right, and now we're going to create a new layer, and we're actually just going to duplicate this eye instead of redoing this one. So let's go to the clone stamp tool, make sure all layers are sampled. We're on a new layer, so that's where it's going to be sampling it to. And just take, let's say the left side of this, or the right side here, and now when we sample, just go over that. Okay, let's do a little bit bigger and softer, and just go over here. Now it's not totally aligned, which is fine. We can adjust that. I just want to get basically a copy of the eye. All right, we can go and adjust. I'm really making sure it's all kind of filled. Okay, now with the move tool, and I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard, I can move the eye and make these little micro adjustments. If I want, okay, so it needs to be a little lower, a little to the left. See, so I can. It's very easy for me to make the eyes perfectly adjusted. All right. Now there's a bit of a hard edge which we're going to adjust in a second, but before and after, you see now the fact that they're both identical really helps, and that the light source is the same. I really like that. So mask and B for brush. And let's see what kind. It's a little too hard, so let's just soften that up a little bit, and just mask a little bit here. Try to not get the other eye to appear. So undo that. I may have put it a little too much to the right. So V for move tool, and I'm going to bring it 2 notches to the right. Back to the B for brush, making sure you're on the mask itself. And let's just make this a little smaller. And there you go. All right, well, it's a little, I'm not very happy with that. So I'm just gonna, what I wanna do is just darken that a little bit. And so what I need to do in this case, let's just brush the bottom here so that that blends nicely in here as well. And in this part, I'm gonna take the burn tool and I'm gonna say I want to burn my highlights, but like 5%. So 5 or 10% is fine. All right, let's see what this does. I'm gonna go here. Look at that. It just blends perfectly. All right. All right. So that's one thing that I do. Another thing that you can do as well is let's create a you Command Alt Shift E. It creates a new layer of everything. So now I'm no longer adjusting these other layers. The reason I'm doing this is because there's another really neat thing that's only in Photoshop. And if you go here to the Sharpen tool, the guys at Adobe redid this tool completely, and the algorithm for sharpening is actually pretty amazing. And make sure the Protect Detail is on, sample all layers, and look at this. I'm just gonna click a little bit, and click and drag just a little bit. I'm at 30%. All right, once more. You want nice sharpness in the eyes. It really makes the brightness, and I don't know, it's everything. It's much more piercing. So look, before the sharpen, let's go into 25%. That's before the sharpness, and that's after. I'm not sure if you can see it on the YouTube video, but it really makes a difference. All right, and there you go. All right, guys, I hope you liked this episode, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like it on YouTube and share it on Google Plus or Facebook. It really helps me out. I'll see you in the next episode. All right, guys, I want to take a second here to talk to you about my new course called Photoshop 101. Now, I've done a lot of courses on Photoshop, and I've worked with a lot of students who have done Photoshop courses, and they often feel like they got through the course and they still don't have a grasp on some of the basics of Photoshop. So I took the time and took some of my favorite projects and put it all together, and let me show you what it looks like. Here, if you go on my site, kelvindesigns.com, click on tutorials, you'll land on this page, and you can check it out here by clicking Photoshop 101. And I want to show you some of these projects. The first one, it teaches you all the basics of layers and some basic blending modes, selection methods. It's pretty simple. Here's the before, and here's the after. And then we take another one, this photo shoot that my good friend Serge Romelli took, and I show you how to add smoke and light the cigarette, which you can see here in black and white. And we have another one here where I teach you how to use the pen tool to basically clean up this reflection and add a title. Very simple. I also show you some cool tricks using lens flares and photo filters. And in this photo, it goes over some of the technical details, but very basic and very simply explained. And then in this last project here, I basically take it's a huge composite with different layers, different selections, and you can see the after here. You can see there's some glows and lighting effects and so on. All right, and then in this next project, basically I'm going to show you how to take these different elements that have different lighting and different effects and mix them into one. We add another title as well. See, you add smoke in the front, make sure the light that's from behind comes in the foreground as well. And then in this next project, I show you this photo, and I try to create a Ansel Adam look, which you can see here. So how to do multiple levels. And I also show you in this how to use the clone stamp tool, because there is some wires there that we get rid of. And then in this next project, I take another photo by my friend Serge, and I show you how to create tone mapping and colorizing, which you can see here. So I really give you that sort of frozen, almost poster looking look. And then in this photo, I took a photo of my son, and I show you a basic color correction for black and white, which you can see here. And then another one here, I show you a simple sky replacement, but you can see the before and after here. It looks very easy, and it actually is pretty easy, but just a few little tips and tricks, and it really shows you how to do it well. And then the last project here, we do a sky replacement, but here the trick is how to change the complete color and temperature of the photo so that it can match the sky. And you can see the before here and the after here. So he really goes through all these basics that you really need to know. It's very simple, and I really show you how to do it through examples and projects. I'm not just going to explain a bunch of stuff. It's just follow the steps, step by step, and you will learn how to use Photoshop. I guarantee it. And for a limited time, I'm offering a special discount to get this course. Click in the more info on the video below, and you'll get a code to use at checkout. I hope you enjoy it.